Hello, dear students. Today we are going to explain the lesson circles, especially the homework part, because some people asked for this explanation. And the homework here is talking about the circles in the basics course. What is the center of the circle defined by this? This is question number 1. X minus 1 all squared plus y plus 7 all squared is equal to 1. In order to get the center, we need to remember that formula. The formula says always x minus h all squared plus y minus k all squared is equal to r squared. And for center, we are focusing on h and k. So the center is always h and k, and be very careful when taking h because this is minus h. So whenever you have a minus here like this one, h will be only 1, not negative 1, because negative h is equal to negative 1, which means h is equal to 1. And whenever you have a positive number beside y, for example, you have to take k as negative 7. So the vertex, sorry, the center here is equal to what? Positive 1 and negative 7. So in a nutshell, we can say that the center is always taking from these numbers by changing their signs. I mean, start always with x, change the sign of negative 1, make it positive 1, change the sign of 7, make it negative 7. That's the answer of this question, number 1. Then let's go to question number 3 because they are aligned here. Circle A has an equation, x plus 2 all squared plus y minus 2 all squared is equal to 9. Circle B, so this is circle A. Circle B has the same center, but double the radius. If the equation of circle B is this, what is the value of k? And don't underestimate this kind of questions because some people say, okay, the radius will be double this 9, so the k is equal to 18. That's not correct, so be very careful. We have to get the radius first. What is the radius of A? The radius here is equal to the square root of 9, which is equal to 3. Because as you see here, the formula says the number that's written after the equal sign in the standard form of the equation is equal to r squared, not only r. So we can say r squared is equal to 9. This is why we write r is equal to 3. And of course, it should be in algebra, we should consider positive or negative square root 9. But in geometry here, we cannot consider the negative sign for the radius. We cannot have a circle with a radius of negative 3. That's impossible. So we take only the positive number. So r is equal to 3. Once we get r of A, the radius of A, we need to double the r, double the radius in order to get the radius of circle B. So circle B has a radius of double this number, which means 6. But if the answer is 6, is k is equal to 6? No, because this k should be equal to r squared. Also, going back to the question, the formula says x minus h all squared plus y minus k all squared is equal to r squared. So whatever the number that comes after that equal sign, it represents r squared. So this k is equal to r squared, not only r. And as long as we get the 6 here, so k should be equal to 6 squared, which means 36. So the answer of the question is only 36, not 6, not 18, not 9, none of these. Question number 2. Here we have also another kind of equation of a circle in that standard form, and it says circle B is translated 4 units to the right. I mean, this is circle A also, and we need to get the circle B, which is the translation of circle A 4 units to the right. Circle B is translated 4 units to the right. What is the equation representing circle B? Translating this equation 4 units to the right means you get the center, and then the center should be moved 4 units to the right, not starting writing here. So this is the common mistake. Some people do that. Some people just look at the 7 and they just add 4 to the right, I mean plus 4. That's not correct. This is a common mistake. If you want to get the answer correctly of this equation, you have to first get step 1, which is getting the center of A. The center here is positive 7 and negative 3. As we said before, we change the sign of each one of them. So 7 and negative 3. And then this is first step. Second step is to get the center of B. Of circle B. Center of circle B is the same as this, but we add 4 units to the right. We move this 7 4 units to the right, which means to add 4 to the 7. Why don't we add 4 to the 3? Because the negative 3, I mean, because here the 7 is responsible for right and left. And this negative 3 is for up and down. So always remember that when I say right and left, we are concerned about the x value, not the y value. So here the 7 should be moved 4 units to the right, I mean plus 4. So this new center will be 7 plus 4, which is 11, and then negative 3 stays negative 3. Now we have this center of B, and the step number 3 is to write the equation of circle B. X minus h, the new h here is 11, so x minus 11 squared plus y minus negative 3, which means y plus 3, you always change the sign, all squared is equal to the same radius, because the question did not say anything about the radius, so keep the same one here. So that's the answer of the question. So be very careful. Don't just add a 4 to this number, because if you add 4 to negative 7, it should be negative 3, which means the answer may be something like B, which is incorrect. So we have to be careful writing the steps as we follow here. The first step is to write the center of B, center of A, then center of B after this transformation, and then we get the equation fully written like this, which gives us the answer, letter C. Question number 4. This is an equation of a circle A, and circle B had the same center, but twice the radius. The same idea we studied before, but here we need to repeat the idea in order for you to understand the concept. So here this is r squared. Remember, this is not r. This is r squared of the first one is equal to 9, which means that r itself is equal to 3. That's the first step. And then circle B has the double, twice the radius, which means r of circle B is equal to double this, which means 6. And now we get the equation. We don't change any of the numbers of the center, but we change the number and the radius. So how can we write the answer? Do we write it like this? X minus 2 all squared plus y minus 3 all squared is equal to 6? No, it should be x6 squared, which means because we have to write r squared here. So instead of this 9, we make it 36, because we got the 3 and then square the 3. So the answer will be x minus 2 all squared plus y minus 3 all squared is equal to 6 squared, which means 36. That's the answer of this question. Then question number 5. A circle had a center of 14 and 19 and a radius of 7k. Which equation represents this circle? So as long as we have the center mentioned here, that's very easy to write the first part of the equation. I mean x minus h, which means x minus 14 all squared plus y minus k, y minus 19 all squared. And as you can see, all of them are the same thing. But the problem comes after the equal sign. It says the radius is 7k, which means this r squared should be replaced with 7k, the r but squared. So this is r, the radius is r, but as long as we write r squared in the equation, we need to write 7k all squared here. And be very careful about the square. The square sign here controls both of these numbers. So 7 should be squared and also k as well. So 7 squared is 49. And k squared stays k squared, which means 49k squared. That's the answer, letter B. Number 7, a circle has a radius of 19 meters. What is the area of the circle? Here we have a formula, and you need to remember the formula. That's okay in order to get the answer quickly, because the formula of the area of the circle is very easy to remember. No need to get back to the formula sheet to get the area of the circle. That's very easy. Area is equal to pi r squared. So we write the area as pi, and then r. What is r? The radius, 90. But we need to write the square here. So area is equal to pi times 19 squared. When you write 19 squared on the calculator, you get 361, or 361 pi. Letter D. Question number 6. Arc AB measures 20 degrees and has length 4 inches. What is the circumference of the circle? So here we can just draw a circle like this, because drawing can help you to get the idea easily. This is a circle. We can write an arc like here A, and this point B. And when I say that measure is 20, don't write 20 here, because this should be written inside the central angle like this. We can name it O as the center of the circle. And when it comes to the measure of the angle, it should be written inside this circle like this, 20 degrees. So when I say the measure of the angle is equal to 20 degrees, this should be written inside, not outside. And then the length of 4. So here we write 4. And be careful, because the arc has two things, let's say two labels. The 4 is the length and the 20 is the measure. So the arc, you know that the length of a segment, like segment, for example, AB, had a length of 5 inches, for example. So the line segment has a length. And the angle, like C, has a measure, let's say 30 degrees. So the angle has a measure, and the line segment has a length, but the arc has length and measure. So be very careful. The length should be written on the arc itself, like this 4, and the measure should be written inside on the central angle. And here, the question asks for the circumference of the circle. I mean, the length of all this blue line here. How can we get this? The easiest way I recommend for you is using the proportional method. What is the meaning of a proportional method? You can just look at the lesson of rates and proportion and use this. Length 1 over measure angle 1 equals to length 2 over measure of angle 2. What does this mean? The first part talks about the arc, and the second part talks about the whole circle. And let's look easily about this one. L1, the length of the arc. What is the length of the arc? It's 4. So write 4 up here. Over the measure of the angle of the arc, which is 20, write 20 down here, is equal to the length of the whole circle. The length of the circle, guys, is the same as the circumference. So we write C instead of that. And then M2, the measure of the angle of the circle. What is the measure of the whole circle? Of course, it's 360. This is a piece of information. It should be in your mind. And then use whatever you use to get the value of C. You can use the calculator. You can simply cross multiply. But maybe I can recommend using the calculator. It gives you the answer easily and quickly as well. You can make a fraction bar like this and go to the right and make equal sign like this one and make another fraction bar. That's easy to prepare the house to write the numbers. So write 4 up here, get down here and write 20. Move to the right and the upper corner, write C, but instead of C on the calculator, we write alpha, closing parentheses, which makes X. And then go down and write 316. Once you've done with this, you write shift calc and then equal. Shift calc equals. And then the answer is 72. So the circumference of the circle is equal to 72, and that's the answer of this question. Let's talk about question number 8, because it's now clear. Circle A has a radius of 3x, and circle B has a radius of 13x. How many times greater is the area of circle B than circle A? How many times greater? which means we need to divide. When I say let's make it easier for you. When I say I have $20, you have $80. And when I say how much do you have greater than, how much times or how many times greater is the amount of money you have than I do, you divide. You divide 80 by 20 and say it's 4. So I have 4 times greater than what you have. That's the answer. So here when I say how many times greater, I mean we need to divide. But divide what? The area of the circle. The circle and the area of the circle. So get the area of circle B is equal to pi r squared. And r here is 13 pi, is 13x. And the area of circle A is equal to pi times r squared, and r here is 3x. And now in order to get how many greater, we start dividing the number 1 by number 2. Divide B by A in that circle. I mean the proportion here is, or the ratio is pi times 13x all squared over pi times 3x all squared. Let's make it simple. Just cancel out these pi's and make 13 squared x squared. This squared should be distributed through the 2 numbers. And also down here, 3 squared and x squared. Now we can cancel out these x's, and we got 13 squared, which is 169 over 3 squared, which is equal to 9. And that's the answer. Of course, we cannot simplify it more than that. So when the question says how many times greater the area of circle B than circle A, it means you divide the area of B over the area of A. And now we get only 13 squared over 3 squared. That's the answer of the question. You can just keep it like this, because if you put it on the calculator, you get only the same number, because 169 cannot be divided by any number, or I mean, they both cannot have any common divisor. I mean, 169, if you want to try it, over 9 is equal to the same number. But if you want to make it as decimal, it can give you some repeated number like this one. So it's recommended to keep it as a fraction as it's given here. Question number 9. Here we have circle N has a radius of 6 millimeters. Circle M has area of 121 pi millimeters squared. This is the area here, but here the radius only. What is the total area of circles N and M? Total areas means add area 1 and add area 2 together. Total means plus the area of M and N. But we don't have the area of N yet. So we can get the area of N, area of circle N is equal to pi r squared. Whatever the r is equal to 6. So 6 squared is 36. So we have 36 pi. This is the area of circle N. And we already have the area of circle M, which is given already, 121 pi. And the question says find the total areas. So we have to add these 2 values. So when you add 36 pi to 121 pi, you get what? You get 157 pi. Remember that the total means addition only. So that's the answer of this question, number 9. Question number 10. What is the center of this circle? That's very easy. The center is always just repeating the ideas. The center is that changing this sign and changing this sign. So we have 3 and -4. That's the center of the circle. And when the question asks about the radius, don't say 16. 16 is not the radius. The radius is the square root of 16, which is equal to 4. Question number 12. It says here we have number 12. What is the diameter of this circle? Diameter is the double of the radius. So some people say, okay, 25 double to be 50. That's wrong. because we need to get the double of the radius. This is not the radius, guys. This is the square of the radius, because this should be written as r squared. So r squared is equal to 25, which means r is equal to only 5. Now we need to get the diameter. The diameter is always d is equal to 2r. Is it a formula to remember always? No, it's just something to remember in the circle. This is called the radius, which is 5, for example. And if I want to get the diameter is all of this line, which is, of course, obviously double this 5. So r is equal to 10. That's question number 12. And then question number 11 comes here. What is the radius of the circle? Yeah, as we mentioned before, the radius is not this number. The radius is the square root of this number. So r is equal to the square root of 36. And of course, we get the positive number 6. Number 13, in the xy plane, what is the area of the circle? This circle, the area is what? If you want to get the area, you need to remember the formula of the area is equal to pi r squared. Pi, just write pi. What is r squared? Here is it. The 144, here it is. 144 is r squared because that's written inside the formula itself. No need to get r and then square the number. It's already given, r squared, 144. So pi times 144, which means 144 pi. And then comes this question number 14. A sector with a central angle. This is written in radians, as you can see. Is what fraction of the entire area of the circle? If the question talks about the central angle in radians, you need to remember that the entire area of the circle has something like the radian measure. I mean here, the sector with central angle, this is the angle. And we need to get the fraction of this number to the entire area. And this fraction means that this number, 5 pi over 4, that's the angle, over the angle of the whole circle. But the angle of the whole circle, we said before, that's 360. Yeah, 360 when we consider the degrees. But now we are talking about the radians. So instead of writing 360, we write 2 pi. Remember that the circle has 2 measures of the angle in the middle. So this angle, as you know, this angle right here is pi. 180 in degrees means pi in radians. So this is 180 or pi. And the second part down here is also pi. So the whole circle is 2 pi. So write 2 pi down here. And then this 4 drops down to be 5 pi over 4 times 2 is 8 pi. And now we can cross out the pi's. So the answer is 5 over 8. That's very simple. No need to get the area of the circle. The question says, what fraction of the entire area of the circle is this part? I mean, this takes a part of the circle, which is 5 pi over 4. But the whole circle is 2 pi. So just compare between the angles and you have the same comparison between the areas. That's very simple to answer the question. Question number 15, point C, is the center of the circle as shown, and the angle here is 100. And the question says here, find what the fraction of the circle's area is the shaded region. I mean, this part is what over the whole circle. We can also use the same ratio. The ratio is the area of the sector over area of the circle. The question says, what fraction of the circle, the word that comes after the word of, is the denominator? So here we write the circle down, and then the sector, which is given here. You can also compare the angles, but here we are considering the degrees. So we can write 100, which is the angle of the sector, over the angle of the circle. And the angle of the circle is 360. Now we can cross out the zeros, and we have 10 over 36, or just put it on the calculator. And we can also divide by 2 to get 5 over, and we divide 36 by 2 to get 18. 5 over 18 is this fraction that's required here. Question number 17. Diameter of the circle whose equation is this. What is the diameter of this circle? Of course, we need to get the radius, as we did before. The radius here is not 64. The radius is equal to the square root of 64, which is equal to 8. And we did the diameter by doubling this number, not squaring, just doubling. Double 8 to r, 2 times 8, I mean, is equal to 16. So the answer of this question is equal to 16. Question number 16. A circle with center 5 and 7 and radius 2 has which equation? Center 5 and 7, so we write the equation like this: x minus h, and h is 5 all squared, plus y minus k, y minus 7 all squared is equal to the r squared. R is 2, but squared to be 4. And that's the answer. As you can see here, the answer is letter A. Question 18. We have the circle and these two triangles drawn here. In the figure below, triangles XYZ is an inscribed triangle XYZ, inscribed in a circle with diameter XZ. This is the diameter of the circle. If YZ is equal to YW, where is that? We can see here YZ, YZ, this side is equal to YW. YW is this one, which is the radius. And the question says find the measure of the angle XWY. When I say XWY, focus on the middle letter. So on W, but which one? I mean this one or this one, because we have two angles here. The angle that comes between these two letters, I mean between X and Y. So X and Y, so we are talking about this angle. So find the measure of this angle. How can we get that? How can we find the solution of this question? We can simply find the relationship between the side length here. The question says YZ is equal to YW, and YW is the radius. So here we have this radius. What the meaning of radius? Radius is the line that starts from the center going to any point on the circle. So this is a radius, and this also is another radius, which means this is also equal, and this is another radius, which is also equal. So all of these lines are illustration of the equal length. So if you look at this triangle right here, you find the 3 dashes drawn, which means this triangle is called what? Equilateral triangle. Equilateral means all the sides are equal and all the angles are equal as well. So which means if you divide the 180 degrees of the total triangle, the total angle measures, you can divide 180 by 3 because they are equal. So every one of them is equal to 60. So this angle is 60 degrees, 60 here, and 60 here as well. But as you look at this is called the linear pair. Linear pair means if you have a line like this and another line comes up here, this angle and this angle have the total of 180. So whenever you have a 60 here, this angle is 120, which is required. XWY is equal to 120 degrees. Then comes question number 19. In the circle shown, the minor arc subtended by angle BOC is equal to 11 pi. The angle, the minor arc of this angle BOC, I mean this angle, subtended by an arc. This arc here, minor arc, because this is called the major arc. We are talking about the minor one, and the minor one is this arc right here, BC. What about it? The length of it is 11 pi. So this is 11 pi, and we have this angle 35 degrees written. And the question says, what is the circumference of the circle? Circumference of the circle, always we consider the angle of O, which is the central angle. How can we get O here? If this OB is a radius, this OC is also another radius. And now this triangle is called an isosceles triangle. Isosceles triangle is the triangle that contains two sides that are equal. And of course, if we have these two sides equal, these angles also will be equal. So as long as this is 35, this angle is also 35. 35 plus 35 is equal to 70. And because the total angle measures of the triangle is 180, so you can say 180 degrees minus 70 degrees gets us 110 degrees. So the angle O measures 110 degrees. And now we can get the circumference of the circle using the proportion method, as we mentioned before. That length 1 over measure 1, length 1 over measure 1, and measure, I mean the angle. Let's say angle 1 is equal to the length 2 over angle 2. The length of the arc, let's talk about this as the arc, and this the whole circle. So the arc length of the arc is 11 pi. So we'll write 11 pi up here over the length, the angle of the arc. The angle of the arc is 110. Not this one, not that one. I mean the opposite angle, which is the measure of the arc. So 110 equals to length 2 of the circle, which is the circumference, which is required here, over the A2, the angle of the whole circle. And we know that the angle is always 360 when it comes to the measure of degrees. And now we can simply cross multiply. C times 110 is 110C. And 360 multiplied by 11 pi, you can write 11 pi times 360. And we can divide both of them by 11. You can just divide here by 11 and here by 11. And you get 10C. And 11 cancels 11, so we have 360 pi. You can now divide by 10 to get C equals to, let's cancel the 0, 36 pi. That's the easiest method to use. And then comes the last question of our file. Circle A and circle B have the circumferences 2K and 36K. What is the ratio of their areas? So be very careful about that. You can use a formula that says area 1 over area 2 is equal to that circumference 1 over circumference 2 all squared. This is an important formula because this is one part of the three formulas. Listen and look at these. These are three formulas, three common formulas you need to apply always in math. Area 1, let's talk about the perimeter. When you talk about the perimeters, we have perimeter 1 of perimeter over perimeter 2 is equal to the side length. Length 1 over side length 2. You can also apply it in the circle. I'll write the circumference 1 over circumference 2 is equal to the radius 1 over radius 2 without any squaring or anything else. But when it comes to the area, you write area 1 over area 2 is equal to the radius 1 over radius 2, but we make it squared. Or you can also consider it area 1 over area 2 is equal to circumference 1 over circumference 2 all squared, which is our formula we use right here. And when it comes to the volume, we remember that volume 1 over volume 2, this is something very important for the second part of the course in the volume and area. We can say volume 1 over volume 2 is equal to, let's say that the radius 1 over radius 2 all cubed. You can also consider volume 1 over volume 2 is equal to the side length 1 over side length 2 all cubed. So remember that the volume is associated with the exponent 3. The area is always associated with the 2, but the perimeter is not having any squared sign or any exponent. So here we can use this formula right here. A1 over A2, the area of circle 1 over the area of circle 2, which is required here. The ratio means something up and something down, is equal to the circumference 1, the circumference of A, and this is the circumference of B. Circumference A is 2K over the circumference B is 36K, and all of that should be squared. Let's simplify this. We can cancel out the k's, and now we have 2 over 36. 2 also can be cancelled, can be simplified. Divide by 2 to get 1, divide this number by 2 to get 18. So we have 1 over 18 all squared. And when you square the 1, you get 1, but when you square the 18, you get 324. So the answer is 1 over 324, which can be also written as 1 to 324. That's the answer, letter C. I hope you understand this homework, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much. See you. Goodbye.